Hello, my name is Mike Smith. I'm an archaeologist at Arizona State University. I teach in the School of Human Evolution and Social Change. And in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about my research and the classes I teach. So let me share my screen here and get this up. I'm going to talk about three different themes in my research and teaching: Aztec excavations, Teotihuacan, and comparative urbanism. I spent most of my career excavating Aztec sites in Mexico, along with my wife, Cindy, who's an archaeologist also. And what we did is we excavated the houses where Aztec commoners lived. Here's what some of them look like. They're not real fancy. This is not big tombs and pyramids kind of thing. This is daily life. What was life like for the people in the past? And archaeology can tell us quite a bit about this. If we can find the houses where people lived and excavate them, as we're doing right here. We find artifacts, and it's interesting. Some of the artifacts we find are very similar to things that are used in traditional villages in Mexico today. For example, on the top right there is a tortilla griddle. It's called a comal, just like the comal on the left, the modern one, and that's how these ancient peoples made their tortillas. This is a drawing from one of my books showing a couple of women grinding corn and making tortillas on a comal on a fire. Here's my wife learning how to make tortillas by hand on a comal on a fire. Our kids were with us in Mexico quite a bit, spent a lot of time, grew up a lot there, and here's a couple of pictures of them. On the right is our daughter, Heather. Can you spot the gringa in the back of the truck? And on the left is our daughter, April, who looks pretty bored. We're putting her to work at the screen on the excavations, and she doesn't look real thrilled about that. Neither of these kids went into archaeology. And I wrote this book. I've written lots of books on the Aztecs. I don't know, 7, 8, 10 books. This book, At Home with the Aztecs, an archaeologist uncovers their daily life, was written for a popular audience. It's not written like a typical academic book. And it tells three stories. One is about the Aztec households and communities, the people who were living at those sites we were excavating in Mexico. The second story is about doing archaeology in Mexico. How do we know where to dig? How do we do excavations? What do we do with the artifacts when we find them? How do we know how old these sites are? All those kinds of things that people want to know. And it's also about raising our kids in Mexico. We have lots of stories, pranks that our kids did, and so on. And it's all together in one book. And guess what? It won a prize. Best Archaeology Book, popular category 2017 from the Society for American Archaeology. So this is a darn good book. And I talk about this stuff in my class, ASB 223. I don't know if this thing is in the corner there. Aztecs, Incas, and Mayas. It's part of the series Buried Civilizations of the Americas. This is being offered fall of 2020, Tuesday and Thursdays from 3 to 4:15. And there's still some seats available in the class, so you're welcome to take this course. Second theme is Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan is one of the biggest cities in the ancient Americas. Here we are on top of the Pyramid of the Moon, looking down the Street of the Dead. You can see the big Pyramid of the Sun in the background there. And I started working on this as an undergrad. Here I am when I was an undergrad at Brandeis University down in Mexico for my first excavation there. And Teotihuacan is an amazing site. And ASU has the only foreign archaeological center at the site. This is our building. It's a lab, a storage center, an analysis center, a paper place for people to live. And I'm director of the ASU Archaeological Research Laboratory at Teotihuacan. We bring students down there. Here's some anthro majors there a few years ago. There was some gag on, I don't know, Twitter or something, read a book day, or I don't know. So we took a picture. We're all reading books there. We're sitting in front of a pile of wooden boxes of groundstone artifacts, big stone grinding tools for grinding up maize and so on that were collected at Teotihuacan. Everyone lives in a palace. This is a typical residence, really pretty bizarre. It's almost unique around the world that people lived in these multi-family dwellings, a lot of open air, and the walls were all covered with red mural paintings, as you can see here. There were several thousand of these buildings. This map of Teotihuacan, made by Renee Millen and George Cogill several decades ago, shows the location of all these buildings at Teotihuacan. You've got the Street of the Dead going down here, the big pyramids up here and over here, and the rest of the stuff, these are all housing. So we're doing analyses and studying this to try to learn about the city as an urban place. We have a bunch of students working in my lab at ASU. Here's a student from a couple of years ago, Answer Major Melissa Marklin. That green book is the original publication of the map of Teotihuacan. And we're using that to figure out what was life like, what were neighborhoods like, how many temples were they, did people go to temples, or how did the religious system work? A bunch of questions we're asking. So those are my two sort of regional interests, excavations at Aztec sites and then studies of Teotihuacan. And my third interest, which has developed since I came to ASU 15 years ago, is a comparative urbanism, looking at cities through history, through the past and the present, and through many disciplines, interdisciplinary research. So it's not just looking at Teotihuacan or Aztec cities, looking at these cities around the world. How do they make sense compared to a Roman city here or a Near Eastern city? What was life like in the earliest cities? What were these cities like? You know, what can we say about urban life? And were these cities in the past similar or different from cities today? Well, in some ways they were almost the same. In other ways they were radically different. So this is one of the themes in my second undergraduate class here, ASB 490, the earliest cities. It's scheduled to be taught next spring. And we look at cities around the world. Here's Angkor Wat on the top there, and Cahokia on the lower right, which is located in Illinois in the US. And we try to make sense out of these earliest cities and what they were like. So putting it all together, one of the questions that's concerned me in my third research theme of comparative urbanism is, do ancient cities have lessons for societies today? What can we learn from cities in the past that might relate to something like, here's contemporary Phoenix? I discuss these things on Twitter quite a bit, so you can check me out in Twitter. So I teach Aztecs, Incas, and Mayas. It's open to freshmen. It's ASB 223 in this fall, and then ASB 490, the earliest cities, which will be taught in the spring. And they're all about the ancient societies of the Americas, the ancient societies of Latin America, and cities of the past and cities in the present. So that's what I do. And if you're interested in this kind of thing, you know, come talk to me, come see me, and I'll see you later.